Welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of several Tudor history books. That's a cat jumping on the roof above me. Now, where am I taking you today? Well, I'm taking you to the reign of King Henry VIII and in the midst of the fall of Catherine Howard. For on this day in Tudor history, the 20th of December 1541, a very sickly Agnes Tilney, who is Dowager Duchess of Norfolk, who was imprisoned in the Tower of London after the fall of her step-granddaughter, Queen Catherine Howard, begged King Henry VIII for forgiveness. She also confessed to having another £800 hidden at Norfolk House, her home. This was on top of the goods and money listed in an inventory taken earlier in the month, and the £1,000 extra that she'd already confessed to having hidden at home on the 11th of December. This was the equivalent of millions of pounds in today's money, which had been found at her home. And William Fitzwilliam, Earl of Southampton, and Thomas Wriothesley recorded their visit to the Dowager Duchess on the 20th of December in a letter to Ralph Sadler, King Henry VIII's principal secretary, on the 21st of December, writing, "Immediately after the dispatch of the letter written yesterday from the whole council here, they too went to the Tower, began with the Lady of Norfolk, whom they found on her bed and apparently very sickly, urging her to reveal more of the lewd demeanour of the Queen and Derham. Describe at great length her sorrowful protestation that she never suspected anything more than a light love between them, and thought that Derham gave her money only because he was her kinsman. Also how she prayed the King's pardon for not having told of it before the marriage, and for breaking Derham's and Damport's coffers. Confessed where £800 more was hidden in her house, which Wriothesley, with Mr. Attorney, Mr. Pollard, and Mr. Bristow found this morning, and begged that the King would not give away her house at Lambeth, for she could not long live in the Tower." The Dowager Duchess must have been terrified at this point, for she surely would have heard about the executions of Francis Derham and Thomas Culpeper on the 10th of December, and she must have worried that that's where she was headed. Now, Agnes Tilney was the second wife of Queen Catherine Howard's paternal grandfather, Thomas Howard, 2nd Duke of Norfolk. And her step-granddaughter, Catherine, had been placed in her household, which was based near Horsham in Sussex, and her house at Norfolk House in Lambeth. During her time there, Catherine had been involved romantically with music tutor Henry Manox and one of her grandmother's employees, Francis Derham. Of course, nobody knew at that time that Catherine would ever catch the King of England's eye, never mind become his wife and queen. The Dowager Duchess and members of the Tilney and Howard families were aware, though, of Catherine's past and hadn't informed the King. The Dowager Duchess was interrogated on several occasions, and on the 11th of December 1541 was committed to the Tower, accused of misprision of treason, of hiding the Queen's treason. On the 22nd of December 1541, the Dowager Duchess and several members of the Tilney and Howard families were arraigned for misprision of treason, for covering up the unlawful, carnal, voluptuous and licentious life of Queen Catherine Howard while she lived with the Dowager Duchess. They were all found guilty and sentenced to perpetual imprisonment and loss of goods. On the 5th of May 1542, nearly 5 months after she'd been imprisoned in the Tower of London, the Dowager Duchess was pardoned and released. Although some of her former manors were restored, she'd lost many of her possessions, and her former home, Norfolk House at Lambeth, was granted to her stepson, the Duke of Norfolk. Agnes Tilney, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk, died in 1545 in her late 60s and was buried first at Thetford Priory in Norfolk and then moved to St Mary's Church, Lambeth, which is now the Garden Museum. Now, I can only imagine her terror at what was going on in December 1541. She really must have thought that she was going to be beheaded as well. And she was obviously very sick, very frail, so it's just awful what happened to her. Anyway, sorry to leave you on such a gloomy note, but at least she was pardoned and managed to get some of her property back, although the Crown obviously pocketed all her money. Yes, all those millions of pounds. Right, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking round about there. You can hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live, and you can, of course, give me a like. I think there's a little dog wandering about in the background. Yes, there is. I will see you tomorrow with another Tudor history event. See you then. Bye-bye.